Okay, so here's what we need to make a elastic inside a guy line. Again, stretches. I'll explain that in just a moment. Okay, so here's a pre-made guy line. You could use your bare cord without having made anything, but I like to put it in something that I know is going to work. So make your guy line, I'd say 5 to 6 inches longer than you want it. That way you can actually have the same length line. Okay, so this guy line in particular is on a toggle system to tighten. Start with the loop end, and the loop is where you're either going to attach it to your stake or to your tarp itself. These are my husband's, and he's going to attach them to the tarp, so that's why they're not already on the stake. This is our berry there, and you can see where it gets thinner. We're going to start the berry of a shot cord right where that berry ends. So right there. Okay. First things first, I'm going to tell you this is 1.75 millimeter Zingit. This is what Walmart calls 1/8 shot cord. However, this is actual 1/8 shot cord on top here, and there's the Walmart 1/8. You can see it's quite a bit thinner. It doesn't stretch quite as stiffly. I had bought this Walmart shot cord thinking I was going to make my underquilt suspension off of it, and it ended up breaking and was a mess. So I'm using, that's why there's loops tied into it, I'm using leftover of that to make these guy lines. Okay, you'll also need scissors to cut your guy line. I use an old, or not old really, a knitting needle that has the screw-on end to do a round knit. Don't worry too much about that, I'm a crafter. As my fid, or at least to open up my holes a little bit better. And then I use a piece of wire. This wire is just another Walmart jewelry wire, and as long as it's stiff, you can use that to fish your cord all the way through. Okay, and also a lighter to burn the end, and then we are all set. So, first thing, find your loop end, take and tie the shot cord around the end. I just tie it in a usual knot here, or the beginning of a knot. I don't even know what it's called. That's how good I am at knots. So we tie it. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see. I'm going to pull it nice and tight. I'll cut this end off later. If you want to be real careful, you can make sure that it's a shorter end. I'm just showing you on video here. Okay, there, it's at the end of the berry. So now determining the length. Everybody's different. I like mine about that long. If that makes sense. This is, let me take a look for you. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is about a total of 7 inches. So, oh gosh, that doesn't sound right, does it? Yeah, I guess that was a total of 7 inches. 1 inch is going to be left over for the tie. So I'm going to go ahead and cut there. Don't cut your Zingit, and don't have to hold them together here. Okay, then I'm going to burn the end of that. So when I burn the end of it, I actually want to pull the casing over the rubber a bit and burn the end there. So you see that, I'm sorry, I had it against my black. I pulled the casing, burn that a bit, and then I'm going to try to pull it off the end again. So this method will help me grab the tip of that shot cord so I don't have to double it up through there. So I'm trying to make a little seam there. Kind of touch the end again with the heat. We'll see, I might have to do some more finagling with that once I get this all fed through. Okay, so now determining where this needs to come out, I take and I stretch the cord a bunch, grab there at the end. Now that loop that's created is the extra amount of cordage that's going to be stacked up on the elastic. See how it allows a stretch there? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go in. So to go into the Amsteel, or not, sorry, not Amsteel, Zing It, you squish it down. This will kind of show you the elastic aspect too. When you squish it, it gets smaller, and then you pull it tight. So it's very similar to this. As you pull it tight, it gets thinner because it's, when it retracts, it is squishing the casing of this cordage down. I don't know if any of that makes sense. All right, now I lost what I was doing here. So I'm going to remeasure this. This is what I'm going to go in at. Okay, now comes the tricky part. We're going to take my wire, put it in the end here. Oops. You can see I'm feeding it into the center of the cord. If you've done any splicing, this is pretty basic to you, but you squish it all the way down. Oops. Every once in a while it'll pop out. You just back up and kind of make sure that your cordage is going on straight. You don't want to come over any of the lines outside and continue. I like to bend the end of my wire so that if I'm not paying attention, this guy doesn't come all the way off. My wire is a little bit shorter, but that's because I broke it about a dozen times. Okay, we get into the end here. Just keep milking it on there. As my kids would say, 5 boring minutes later. We're almost off there. Keep squishing, keep squishing, keep squishing. We're going to come out just about where we tied it. We'll be pulling it a little snugger, so it'll be just fine. But you see there, we came out just below where we tied it. This will slide down closer to that as we go. Okay, now I'm going to open that up, stick my cordage in. I'm going to go right to the tip here. We don't have a lot of wiggle room with this project, so right to the tip. My scissors have this handy metal thing at the back there, and I use that to crimp that down, and then I crimp it again, make sure it's really tight on my shock cord, so that shock cord can't come out. See that? We're pretty good there. Now I'm going to start pulling it through, and I'm sure if you've spliced anything, you know this is always the pain, especially if it's a little bit bigger. Oh, I forgot one thing. I'm going to take my fid. This will make our life just a touch easier. Stretch out that hole as big as I can. That just helps it come in a little easier. Now we're going to start milking it through here again. Again, the biggest pain of any splicing, I think. Berries are my nemesis, but then I do this project and end up loving the way it turns out. So I'm going to get that all the way through. I'll fast forward here so that you guys don't have to watch me painstakingly bring that through.
3 weeks later.
Okay, we're almost there. Just get a little bit more here. There we are. Okay, so you see, I'm going to pull this cord all the way through. Sometimes you have to actually squish the berry. There we go, just like that. So now that has pulled this knot down snug to where my hole is. I don't have a lot of stretch right now because of how the Amsteel is on there. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to milk the Amsteel all the way down, just like it's a berry on something else. There we go. So you can see I made a little bit of extra. I decided that this is how long I wanted it. It's kind of up to you. There's no set way to do it, but there we go. So now that is all bunched up. Let's see if I can get it focused on here. bunched up on there. When you stretch it, that Amstel straightens out. I'm sorry, I keep saying Amstel, but this works with Amstel too. The Zing It keeps stretching out. All the cordage stretches out there. There, now we've got that coming out of the hole. So we're going to take and tie a nice knot on there. As close to the opening as we can. Pull it nice and snug. We're basically done there. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess here. Some people will tie a second knot there. I don't think it's needed, especially for this circumstance. The cordage is not getting pulled away. I haven't had any issues yet. I'll let you know if I change my decision. And if I regret it, I'll be very sad. Okay, so we burn the end again so we don't have any fraying. There we go. There is our stretchy tie-up. Again,